We mentioned we had a special guest join us today, and we do. Committee chairman for the Major Thoroughfare Committee, Greg Pirkle. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you here. The next phase of the Major Thoroughfare is coming up. You guys are already preparing for what's next, and on that list are at least around 7 projects that you guys are recommending to move forward with.
Right.
How do you pick and choose? This is my first question out. When you've got a long list of things that you know need work and want to work on, how do you narrow that down to 7?
Well, it's a sort of a long process. We have both professional input and then we have citizen input. About a year and a half ago, we hired an engineering firm to come in and do a study because during the election for this last phase, for Phase 5, people kept saying, what are you using to look at to see which roads need to be built? And one of the things they want to see is have professionals looked at this to see if this is where the traffic patterns are going. So we hired an engineering firm, and they came in and they did a study. They reported to the committee that these are the roads that we think are going to need construction over the next 20 years. So we have a 20-year plan that's been proposed by an engineering firm, and we recommended that to the city council, and that was approved as the 20-year plan. So that's the first part of it. Secondly, we have about 18 members on our committee, and they are from all the wards around Tupelo, and they drive the streets. So we look at the roads that are recommended, and then the people on the committee come in and say, all right, here's where we see problems. Here's where traffic is getting backed up. And then we have citizen input as well. So that's sort of how you come up with the streets. You look at traffic counts, you look at the accident reports, what streets have more accidents on them, and then you look at the professionals who say, according to their analysis, this is where the traffic flow is going. This is where the traffic patterns are going to be in Tupelo over the next 20 years. And we then come up with a list of streets. We vote on them, and we say these are the ones we think we need right now. We know we only have a certain set amount of money to spend on it, so what can we do with this money over the next 5 years? Then we take it to the citizens.
And now some of this money will also include the maintenance for the streets.
That's right. For the prior phases, we have not had maintenance. The city's regular maintenance budget included the thoroughfares. And now we're coming to the point that some of these, when you have 20-year-old streets, you have to spend some money maintaining those. So we're very proud of the streets. We think that the program has done extremely well, but it is fair for us to use this money to come in and keep these roads maintained to make sure that our people have good roads to drive on.
What's our time frame moving here forward? I know the 7 have been proposed, but where do we go from here? What's the next step in this?
As far as the 7 roads, the proposed roads and what they are, as far as we're looking at different things. Talk about the timing. If we say where do we go from here as having this plan approved, the vote is next May. So there will be a vote next May as to whether we're going to continue the program. This is a citizen program. The 10 mills is not just something that's automatic. The public has to look at what we're doing and say, we think this is a good thing and we want this to continue. So we have made the proposal to the city council. We did that at the last Thoroughfare Committee meeting. The city council is going to look at it and they will approve it, hopefully. If they approve it, they will set a time for the election, which will be next May. And the committee will spend their time from now till the vote going out into the neighborhoods, trying to educate everyone in Tupelo as to what's going to go on and what the streets are and that kind of thing, and then we'll come in May. We're going to be looking at a lot of different roads this time, and we actually have one thing that is related to road and traffic, but it's not actually asphalt on the ground, and that's signalization. Mm-hmm. That's one of the 7, 8 projects that we're recommending, as you're talking about, and it has to do with particularly Main and Gloucester. Main Street, when you're on there at peak traffic times, it's very stop and go, mm-hmm. very jerky, mm-hmm. it seems like, when you're driving on that road. And we've always been told that, if the signals are all aligned, then you can get the traffic flow going from east to west, west to east, and it'll be a much smoother transition. But that never has been able to happen when they go out. The signalization that we have now is maybe based on traffic counts 5 to 10 years ago. So what we are looking at, one of the projects is going to be signalization, and MDOT is actually helping us on that. That's one of the things our committee and the city always does, is to try to partner to get more funds and to have savings, cost savings in the thoroughfare program. But it's going to be, we have the infrastructure necessary to signalize the lights on Main Street, and it will take into account peak times. So it will try to make the traffic move more smoothly through there without having to say, all right, right now you have cars that come on the side streets, and when they hit those sensors, it'll cause the lights on Main Street to turn. Well, that's a very disjointed way to have the traffic flow, and it makes everybody on Main Street just stop, and that's the reason it feels so such a jerky motion through on Main Street. This will say, all right, the lights aren't going to change based on the sensors as people pull up on the side streets. It's going to flow based on the traffic flow, and at certain times, everybody on Main Street will stop, and people will go, and then everybody on Main Street will go. So it will be a much smoother transition for people. We think that's going to help significantly, and it's $150,000 to $300,000 to do that. But that's why we're looking for MDOT to try to help do that.
Yeah.
You know, it is stressful, and building the new roads. When we built the new roads, there was a lot more to that than we had thought initially. But it's also very rewarding when you see the results. When it's I think if the other citizens of Tupelo have their lives improved as much as mine has been improved with these roads, then it's very rewarding to have been a part of something like that, and hopefully we can show the citizens how much better our lives are collectively if we have this program.
Yes. All right, Greg, thanks for joining us.
Glad to. Thank y'all for having me.